Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unofficial Survivor After Show here on theStreamtv. I'm your host, Justin Walter, joined tonight by Ryan Hooks.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for having me back.
Yes, thank you so much for filling in for Jerri Manthey. She is unavailable tonight, and we'll see Jerri Manthey back here right next week.
All right.
We do have Andy Dehnart from Reality Blurred back here with us tonight, so he'll be talking with us in a few minutes. And first, we have to talk about Survivor Episode 7, Play to Win. All about the merge. We have 13 players in tonight's episode.
13 is nuts.
13 for a merge is a lot of numbers to work with. And it's never been done on Survivor. First time in Survivor history. So, Ryan, what do you think of a merge at 13 players?
It is insane that there was 9 people sitting on the beach like, okay, we're going to 5-4 split, talking about what's going to happen. And, like, how do you even get away from that many people to talk numbers or talk game without everyone just on top of each other?
I know. At first, when we had all those players doing a 5-4 split talk on the beach, I was like, wait a minute, there's 4 other people still left in this tribe. It was so many numbers to work with, so many different ways people could go, and with all the shifts in the tribes up into this point, so many different options. And, you know, the whole time before we got to the merge, it was very quick. Andrew Savage talking about how he was really pissed at Chaos Cass and Sierra for not telling him and for going behind his back. So was it a bad move looking back? Last week, not telling Savage they were going to vote out Woo, even though they had the majority in the numbers.
I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter at this point. You know, and I liked in Tribal Council the comments that Spencer made that this game is not being played long term like Survivor has been played in the past. This game is played week by week and day by day because they're going to keep changing it. And I said that from the beginning. They're going to change this game every single week. And I actually wouldn't be surprised if we get a split. Like maybe split them up again and then merge them again later just to really.
You watched our after show last season, didn't you? Because last season, and I have a company called Reality Rush where I run corporate team building events for people, and sometimes we do Survivor-like games. And I've done that before where we do a merge and then a split again. I definitely think we might see a split coming up in a couple
13 is a big number to merge.
That is just our opinions. That is not spoilers. We're not spoiling anything. And I would say maybe at 10 they'll go down to 2 tribes of 5, or at 12, maybe even right away next week, they'll go to 2 tribes of 6. I think that for a while they probably will keep it as one big tribe, though, because it is going to be played more like a Big Brother game, kind of, where it's day by day, every 3 days, changing alliances.
I agree.
And so we had the merge barbecue, and right away we have, you know, Cass talking at the barbecue and kind of just airing out. Kimmy was shocked that Cass didn't go after Spencer, and Cass, you know, looking back at last week, they went after Woo. The smart decision now, looking back, would have been take out Savage.
I think that taking out Savage would have been a great decision looking back, but, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. And Woo is a competitor. I mean, he's maybe not the best game player, but he does have physical advantage, you know, and he did make it really far when he played before. In Brains Beauty Brawn, he, you know, got 2nd place. So he has done it and gone a long way in the game, and it's very likely he could have gone far. Because, you know, he's like a guy that people like. He's nice, and he's quiet, and he keeps to himself. And that's something I think that you're seeing with some of these players that we potentially will see down the line. You, like Kelly Wentworth, for example, who's nice and likable and is just sort of hanging out and will just stay there for a long time. You'll forget about her. And you forget about Woo and
We will never forget about Kelly Wentworth.
Well, I do like blondes.
And it's crazy for me because I've been saying she's one of my front runners this entire season, and how when they had that 9 group on the beach, Kelly Wentworth is in the minority of the 4 with Cass, Abby Maria, and Sierra. I love that group of 4, and I think the good thing for her and her position is she's at kind of the bottom of the targets of those 4. Obviously, Sierra and Cass,
and
Andrew
Tasha.
Savage described them as a 2-headed dragon and monster this episode.
The serpents.
The serpents. And so Kelly Wentworth, even though she's kind of in the minority right now, I still think she's going to be in a good position because she's not the target. She has that idol, and she will be. She has those connections. We've seen her talking to Spencer. We've seen her talking to Keith and a lot of players who she didn't, you know, necessarily was on the beach within that group of 9. But Kelly Wentworth did vote Cass out. So what we didn't see was, obviously, we saw her with Jeff Varner back in the original tribes, where she goes with the majority. She went with the majority tonight. Smart move. She knew the numbers were going to go Cass and Sierra, and she stayed with the majority. So it's a good move, Kelly Wentworth. Back this week, we do have Andy Dehnart from Reality Blurred. So we want to bring Andy in for our merge episode. But one thing, Andy, I wanted to bring you in. Today is a very special day. Today is someone's birthday. We got to wish happy
Not mine.
birthday to Jeff Probst. Jeff Probst is 54 years old today. Look at this picture. That is Jeff Probst, season 1 of Survivor and season 31. So that's him over 15 years. I would have to say Jeff Probst has done a good job of outwitting, outplaying, and outlasting the game of aging. What do you think, Andy?
Absolutely. He looks great, and a lot has changed, and we're all a lot less innocent now. But he's showing that we're a lot less than all of us are as Survivor fans.
Yes. So Andy, a big episode tonight. So many moments. What was one of your top moments of tonight's episode?
Honestly, for me, it was the surprise vote at the end there with Sierra voting for Savage, which I'm all for voting him out. I agree with you guys that, really, they should have gotten rid of him last week. And I kind of liked her protest, screw you, Andrew Savage vote, because it's just, that's where I am as a fan.
What is Savage is coming off, I think we talked about it a couple episodes, and a lot of people on Twitter and online are talking about it. He's coming off very arrogant and kind of almost a little bit self-righteous in a lot of his confessionals. Is that something you think a lot of fans this season are latching on to?
Yeah, today's episode, he was basically a big baby. I didn't know what was going on, so I'm going to pout about it. And, he managed to get his bro alliances talking about to go with him, and that makes sense, and I understand why Cass was a threat, and I'm also thrilled that we don't have to hear the phrase Chaos Cass anymore, because I have quite enough of that.
What do you think of, with, obviously there were so many different tribal lines and everything, why did Sierra vote for Savage? Did obviously she know that it was going to be her or Cass, so it was just a big middle finger to Savage?
Yeah, I just kind of tweeted about that. I'm not 100% sure. I think that's the best theory, and that if you sort of look back now and read her all through Tribal Council as knowing they're going to get rid of Cass instead of doing something else, so you can see that she's kind of irritated and doesn't want to go along with the group. But I'm worried for her in the sense that probably puts a target on her back. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if there's fallout there. If Andrew Savage decides to pout and point at her and call her face or something.
So do you foresee her being the next target?
Maybe, probably, yeah. It's a good question. I'm curious to see where this group goes. I hope they splinter more. And one of you just mentioned, this might be a very Big Brother season, and I really hope that's not the case, because I don't like the ping-ponging between two big alliances. That's just kind of boring, and Survivor has been able to avoid that the past few seasons, and for the past few years especially. So I'm hoping that we can have some change up in this, and it's not just going to be get rid of that alliance that Cass was with slowly, and then see what happens after that.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be ping-pong in between two main alliances. I think we're going to see a lot of splintering, like you've talked about, and we've talked about kind of this whole season. And I think that Joe and Spencer, obviously, they were the men of the hour tonight as being everyone's wanted vote. So I have an opinion. I know Ryan has an opinion.
Yep.
What's your opinion? Do you think Joe and Spencer made the right choice on teaming up with the bros and kind of the buy-on with their old school ladies that they're kind of working with right now?
Yeah, I think so. If you think about Spencer's option, he sort of has this new relationship with Cass, and he trusts her, and he can betray her, and then she goes home. Or he can betray all these bros, and then they're still there.
Yeah.
So it seems like the least bad of the two options for him was to get rid of Cass, because she can go somewhere else and stew about it, rather than having to face the consequence of that back at camp. So I think he made the rational choice. It'll be interesting to see if it affects his new storyline of trying to be a human with emotions.
One thing I do like that Cass talked about tonight, I did like how when she was kind of, when we're going to talk about it with Tasha, they had a battle kind of throughout the whole episode, how she was saying, put behind the past, play a new game, let's play a game, for this season. I did like that. But what I thought was a mistake on her part was, just because you saved Spencer last week doesn't mean he's going to automatically owe you and make sure he's going to save you and do that for you in return. That was a big flaw on Cass's strategy, and I was surprised that she did that. Were you surprised that she was banking on Spencer owing her?
Yeah, I'm guessing that was probably a little overplayed, or at least I'm not 100% sure she would think that, but I think that it probably makes sense to be playing to that side of Spencer, but also I think she could probably make another argument to him, and maybe even did, about the fact that it just makes sense to go with a smaller group and get rid of a bigger target on the other side. So I think Cass is probably smart enough that wasn't her only argument, but I kind of feel like everyone's getting a version of the Stephen Fishbach out of this. They're like, the dumbest thing you do every episode gets like great play.
Well, Andy, we thank you so much for joining us. Everyone check out Reality Blurred for Andy's Survivor recaps, and also he does a ton of articles on a lot of different reality shows. So Andy, thank you so much. We'll see you back next week.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Andy. I think piggybacking off of what we were talking about with that as well, and I was talking about as we watched the episode, I like the idea that Spencer did tell Cass that, hey, it's going to be you and Sierra. He didn't say it, but he did admit to it and didn't hide it from her. So that's almost his, hey, I'm paying you back. You two are in the bottom two. Be aware. Do what you have to do to prepare yourself, to figure out what's going on, and save yourself. So
and Cass is the type of player that would understand, okay, if it's him or me, he's going to save himself. He wants to win. He wants to play.
Yeah.
So she would obviously get that. When we, at Tribal Council, Sierra was very boisterous about play to win. The name of the episode is Play to Win. And she basically said, I played in a season where I wasn't playing to be 1, 2, 3, or 4. I was the 5th and 6th. So all you 5th and 6th players, you got to play to win. Who do you think specifically she was talking about and trying to target on that?
Well, Fishback for sure. Probably Savage. I think in her mind, even Kelly Wentworth is in that, or even, Kimmy, Wigglesworth. They're all kind of in that. Potentially could sneak by, but could easily get picked off as well, depending on,
And I wonder if she was trying to talk to Spencer and Joe, saying
I think so.
That you guys are latching on to a bigger, tighter alliance. They're going to use your vote now and then pick you off because you're the strong strategic threats in the game. So,
and I think that goes back to her vote against Savage, like the screw you vote. Like, vote. She even said, vote who you think should go home. She voted for Savage. That's who she thinks should go home.
Who would have thought there'd be such a little boom boom versus Sierra and Savage? Well, we got more to talk about with Survivor, so we're going to come to some tweets and hear what you guys are saying right after we hear from theStream.tv.
Just in case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live.
In case you missed it live, this is for you.
I love it. That was freaking oh my God.
I didn't see any of this. Yeah, I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, kill him. Kill him. Definitely kill him. We're cool. Shade. Shade left and right, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies, let's put your 2 cents in it.
Rubbed me the wrong way and the right way.
But you were like, well, we want to know what's going on. That was killed.
We just want to say we love you all. Thank you so much for your support. You are all seriously the best in the world.
Another beautiful summer at theStream.tv.
Here we go, guys.
Thank you for being here. Peace out.
Bye, guys.
Welcome back to the Unofficial Survivor After Show here on theStream.tv. Make sure to subscribe to theStream.tv. And Ryan, what are people saying on Twitter?
So I think this tweet from Gregson Sir pretty much sums up the feeling that you and I both had when they revealed the final vote of this week's votes. Pull it up right there. No!
Oh, poor
Hashtag
Chaos
Survivor.
Cat.
Like, that's how I felt. I was like, Tasha, I don't care. Sierra, not Cass. I want Cass to stay. Like, of the people to go home, she's the one that I wanted the most to stay.
What else we
That
got?
sums up what I'm feeling right there. So Shark Taz, now that we've merged, wouldn't the first person anyone should want to get out be Joe? I love him, but he could win Survivor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this tweet was also pulled before the episode fully aired, so this was before he won the immunity.
Yeah.
But I agree, like at the merge, who you thinking? Who are your big targets?
Joe will be
Why
out
is
pretty
Cass, Tasha,
soon.
and Sierra your big targets?
It's all a numbers game, and Joe will be a target pretty soon.
I think so too. All right, I love how Savage went from wanting Fishback out first and needing him for his numbers. Survivor Second Chance.
Yep. Well, that's in the pregame. Savage was all about going after Stephen Fishback. He wanted Stephen Fishback out of the first game. All of his pregame interviews said that, and now he needs his numbers. So we'll see. Stephen wants to make a big move next week, and we saw in previous episodes how Stephen Fishback wanted to go after Joe, but Jeremy did not want Joe out because Joe in the game leaves a bigger target in the game. So do you think in the preview we saw everybody wants to make a big move? Do you think Stephen Fishback is going to try and go after Joe again next week?
I would like to see that happen, but I wonder, does Stephen Fishback have the influence right now of anyone to make that big move? You see the guy that's like, dude, Jeremy, Keith, let's go, let's get him out, and we make this big move. I don't think people listen or trust him enough to make that move. I think it's got to come from Jeremy or Spencer or someone else.
I agree.
That they're looking at to have a little trust, who is a bigger player but can still make big moves.
Well, when you think back in this episode with Stephen Fishback when he recited a poem, everybody, when that scene we had, everybody stuck under
the rainy tent.
The rainy tarp and tent, and it was like they said, are we grounded? Are we on timeout? And Stephen
Everyone's
Fishback
face.
started reciting a poem. I'm sure they were there for hours, and that's the one moment we got to see. But the faces of being annoyed and just kind of like, about him reciting that poem. Kelly Wentworth gave eyes, Cass here, all of them were just kind of not happy about Stephen Fishback reciting those poems. So I agree. I think the key players right now are, we obviously have Savage and Jeremy, and they're running the show right now. So players that could maybe stir it up, I think hopefully Kelly Wentworth, and maybe she pulls back Joe. Joe trusted her last episode, and maybe they could get Spencer, and I don't know about
convenient.
Sierra.
That leads right into our next tweet.
Oh, what is it?
Guys, you must be reading my mind. Please let this be the beginning of a Spencer Joe dream team.
Oh,
Hashtag
boy.
Survivor.
Well, one thing that Spencer said this episode, I wrote it down, Joe's a guy I wouldn't mind swinging with. He said that. So he means in alliances, but all ladies out there maybe would love to be swinging with Joe. Joe has a huge problem in this game, and the problem is he's going to be a huge threat because he will win so many challenges, and it's just a matter of time. His clock in the game is ticking. Joe, his days are numbered.
And I think the idea of an alliance with Spencer is probably a really good one, because I think that the two of them could get maybe 3 or 4 people with them and have a good solid run of maybe 5 or 6 people that could carry them a long way in this game.
If anything, I think the smart move for Joe and Spencer, if they flip, it would be going and picking up Abby, Wentworth, and Sierra and kind of forming more of a deal.
People.
Bring in maybe Keith, because Keith, you know, that whole Takeo 5 really did not stick together. We called that.
No.
And those would be the ones where you kind of pick up to go after the people in control of this game right now.
Yep.
So I don't know. We'll see.
All right, and finally, I want to like Jeremy, but his bromance with Savage makes me not his #1 fan. That one is for you, because I know how you feel about Savage.
You know what? I hope Savage can turn his kind of, like Andy said, he seems like he's whining a lot. I don't like that, and hopefully that will change in upcoming episodes. And the good thing, Jeremy, I think, is in a really good position. Jeremy has Savage on his side, and Savage is a bigger target. He's got the idol. He's got a strong alliance with Fishback. He's got a strong alliance with Kimmy. They've got Wigglesworth. Jeremy is in the driver's seat of this game. So the question is, will someone be able to take that away from him, and who will it be?
Himself. I feel like if anyone's going to take it away from Jeremy, it's going to be himself. He's going to try to play too hard and then lose all those people. And suddenly you don't start throwing names out when people's names don't need to be thrown out. And that's what I think gets a lot of people in trouble.
Yeah. I think it was crazy. We talked about it a little bit, but that scene of having 9 people on the beach.
That was so crazy. And you could see the
Deciding
4
how
people,
they were going to split the votes, and the 4 just on the side watching.
They were sitting in the back. You could see them in the shelter, just sitting there, hanging out.
Yeah.
And you have to figure they're talking about one of you 4 and who they're voting out.
We'll see if this continues in the upcoming
I think it will.
episodes. We also, looking at the alliances, obviously they're shifting left and right, so it's going to be exciting to see. It's going to be really exciting to see how the rest of this plays out. We know now, Jeff Probst said, that Chaos Cast, a moment of silence, will be the first jury member.
Dun, dun.
So we are going to have a jury. If it's a final 3, we're going to have a jury of 10. If it's a final 2, a jury of 11. This is a huge jury.
I think a jury of 10 is a good way to go.
Yeah. So we will see predictions on who you think next week that's possibly going out of this game.
Man, this game, I've been trying to predict every single week, and it's like, I don't even know who's going to get nominated until they're up there on the block, I'm too much Big Brother, right?
Yeah, no, this is not on the block.
Too much Big Brother. Till they're up on the, like, it's just, I feel like Sarah's in a bad spot.
Yeah.
It depends on if she can recover and get some people on her side from before. It depends on who wins immunity. I mean, again, they could go back into split tribes again.
I love it. It's so much going on. It's going to be a lot of chaos.
How do they top this season?
Even without cast, there's going to be a lot of
before
chaos.
the season's even over, how do they top this for next season?
You bring in players like me to play, and
sign us up. We'll
do it. All right, thank you guys so much for joining. We have a lot of great reality sites out there that are putting up our show. Definitely check out their content, their articles. They do a lot of great stuff. Want to give a shout out to Reality Blurred, Survivor Fandom, allabouttheT.com, MortysTV.com, TVFanforums.net, Survivor Digest. Ryan, where can people find you?
Hey, you can find me at RyanHooks92 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat.
Awesome.
I'm there.
And I actually am going to be out for a couple weeks. I'm taking a trip to the Philippines. I'm also going to be trying to go to Paluatiga. I don't know if I said it correctly. Survivor Borneo, where it was shot the first season. So I'll be keeping in touch with the show and going to visit some Survivor locations. You can follow my travels on Instagram at ATWJustin and my travel blog around the world with Justin.com. So I will be watching Survivor. I will be staying in touch, watching the show, and Jerry will be taking charge. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
Definitely tune back in next week for more Survivor.